And Karl remembered to stay quiet while the microphone was live, so you didn't hear us talking about toilet rolls and all that jive. We don't really talk about toilet rolls. We're above such things. Good morning, girls and boys, boys and girls, theys, them, us's, and everyone else in the internet. And hello, Graham, because you've already said good morning to us. So good morning, Mr.
Oh,
Rigg.
Graham. Hello, Graham.
I do love the surname Rigg. Just as a little brief aside, there's something robust and heroic about the surname Rigg. You could really have a hero called Rigg. There's Rigg.
You could have a hero called Rick Rig. I'd like to hear you say that actually.
Rick Rigg. Sounds a bit. No, it needs to be. It needs to be something. I don't. The double R thing is too. It's too Marvel comics.
Yes.
Peter Parker and Lois Lane. That was just lazy writing, really.
Very popular. I like a bit of alliteration. Oh.
Yeah, but no, Rigg. I don't know, like Dave Rigg. Dave's not bad if he's an English kind of hero. If he's American, it has to be like Tony Rigg. I'm Tony Rigg. Murder Squad.
Like Bulldog Rig.
Bulldog Drummond. Do you remember that?
Sorry, Rig. Graham. There we go. It's nothing in particular.
No, it's just one of those things. On the point of nothing in particular, I will take this moment to thank the several people who dropped me a message after last week's episode. Basically thanking us for, because once the live stream kind of goes live, you can't comment anymore. But there was 3 people, I'm not going to boast here, 3 people sent messages saying how much they enjoyed it.
We just waffled on about films last week, didn't we?
Apparently, well, there was 3 people that said it really lifted their spirits and their mood, and it got them thinking about films they'd forgotten about. It got them thinking about horror films, and it started wee discussions for them with a couple of their friends about movies and stuff in general that have been just overlooked. So there we go. We've made somebody feel happier. Morning, Tabletop. Morning, Simon Clark. Morning, Peter Bryan. Brian Rigg. That would work.
Brian Rigg. I like that. That could also work.
Brian Rigg, tired detective. He's a couple of months from retirement when all of a sudden a spate of brutal ritualistic murders take place in the sleepy seaside town.
I think I've seen that film about 3 or 4 times.
But you'd watch it again.
Yeah, probably.
Probably. So, okay, we said we were going to stay on target. We like to be good boys, and every so often we go off the rails, and every so often we stay focused. Your Kickstarter looks like it is Day of the Jackal. It's going to hit target for busting the bottom out of your Apocalypse Kickstarter.
Yeah, that's been the best one to date, which is not far off the total that we've got at the moment, and that was the box set and 100 miniatures or something. But this one, I've done it all properly this time. I've done it for a proper 30 days, like a grown-up Kickstarter. And it's
morning, Jez.
It's just been it's climbed really well this week again. So we've got 2 days left now.
Yeah.
The 7 or 8 o'clock tonight, the 48-hour. You get that reminder mail will go out, and that normally has a bit of a kick in the last couple of days. So you never know.
Yeah, because that's your last chance to cancel your pledge. You can cancel your... What? Not that anyone's going to do that.
But yeah, it's been... it's climbed very, very nicely this week. And we've got 2 or 3 more stretch goals, I think, left to go.
57 hours left to go. 386 backers. 35.114 K, which is... something impressive percentage of target. I don't know. It's like 800% or something.
Oh, it was like $2,000 the original thing in there, which if you just get 4 people doing it, that's lovely.
Yeah.
386 backers at the moment, which that I'm not so sure of what we did with Apocalypse. Some of them might have been a lower value bits. I can't remember quite a many. We've had at least 400 people in the past with things, so this one's doing pretty well. So,
but I mean, this one has proven the point that you put together a full package, and there are people interested in the 7 TV experience off the shelf.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's just got a bit of something for everyone. It's got the game, and it's got the miniatures, and it's got the terrain time to play in. And I wanted to say a big thank you to Sarissa as well, because they kept bigging it up all the way along. And so you've got everything in there to play it. So it's much easier to imagine that and go, oh yeah, okay, I can see what I need to do there to put that together. I'll have some of that. Thank you very much. So I suspect that's the model that will probably continue within the future if we do these type of ones.
Yeah, because you've given the backers the window to kind of look at this sensibly and go, well, yes, there's a lot of things I want here. In a normal month, I'd get X, but because this has lasted this long, I can get X, Y, and Z. Yeah,
like I said to you before, most people said, "What do you want from the Kickstarter?" I said to people, and they said, "Over 2 paydays, please, Karl." Yes. Was like the most feedback I had. So that sort of works. So I've tried to do as much as I can to cater for sort of what everyone's after, and it seems to be kind of working, I think. So we've got the next feature pack. It's the first one that I tested to see if the format worked. It's 3 episodes, and it's a reworking of Vlad's Army. The first edition thing that we've got, and I spoke to Sarissa yesterday because there's loads of the scenery for that is kind of all ready from some of their existing range and a couple of new bits.
Yeah.
So that could be the next one. We do the same again. Whether we'll have loads and loads of miniatures for that, I don't know. But we could certainly take the same sort of format when we're designing it to make sure we've got game minis terrain, I think.
Well, that's the thing. I suppose each project now doesn't have to be this monumental beast, but it certainly seems to show that little package of the rules bundle with the cool bits, a couple of nice minis, and this idea of, and here's your scenarios, here's your maps, here's your pretty things, here's how to bring it together. Because these to me strike me as much easier jump-on points for the folk on the sidelines who have been looking at 7TV and going, this is a mysterious thing that I want to be involved in. But,
it's 7TV is essentially that sandbox game, isn't it? And if you're not as comfortable with that, I mean, any of our hardcore people that are probably watching this and on 7TV Productions will take it and will be able to develop it and weave it into their own sandbox bits and pieces. But you're right, there's a lot of people who go, no, I just want pick up and play, quite rightly, with time available and what you want to do. So this makes it a lot easier to do. And yeah, like you said, on future ones, they don't need to be quite as mad. But then I plan these like 18 months out. So the first lot of miniatures and terrain, the street furniture, the little lamps and the bins and whatever, were done like 2 years ago or something like that. So we just kept kind of adding it up until I've got a nice little bundle of stuff that I think, that warrants being able to do a campaign. And I've got enough stuff to do the stretch goals and all of the other bits and pieces as well for it. So it normally takes a while just to get it together, really. And then you go, oh, I've got loads of good things for this.
Yeah, this is now suddenly become quite exciting and fun. I mean, speaking of exciting and fun, I know you mentioned Sarissa already, but just to bring it home to the boys and girls, obviously there is that terrain pledge, like 175 quid, that gets you the existing sort of terrain as depicted. But Sarissa have added with Karl this additional. I'm just trying to scroll down to it so that I can. There we go. Pardon me, so there's the downtown Marsh port, expand your town with this bundle deal. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more buildings. 3 are large, 3 are small. RRP 93 quid, add it to your pledge for 70 quid.
Yeah, so I looked at this. I get a bit embarrassed about kind of like, weirdly, about keep adding big things in, because we were going to maybe think about doing a little bundle for each of the 5 chapters in there, but it just gets quite expensive to keep adding those on for people. And I feel that that's a little bit cheeky. So what I tried to do with Sarissa is just say, what about this sort of discounted bundle? And that's probably the most useful buildings for you to be able to kind of put together for a town. The smaller little ghost town ones, like the little derelict 1-story ones. I think I use those in the maps for 2 or 3 of the scenarios. So you'll be able to get multiple use out of those. And then we put one of the big derelict kind of hotel sort of ones in there from their World War II range as well. And then they were kind enough to kind of discount that on top. So if you just want to kind of build things out a little bit, you can do, and then you can add on the other buildings you want at a later date if you want. And Sarissa would always be happy to help you out with that.
Exactly, and it's not the sort of thing. I mean, most people are going to find that they've, Wargamers have terrain anyway, and we're all used to making do. I mean, I still remember the days when we used to pile up the Encyclopedia Britannica to make a tower block, but
sort of green felt over the top of that. That'd be lovely.
Yeah, if you paperback novels for hills,
Yes.
and the Encyclopedia Britannica or your dad's photographic albums, for high rise blocks, photographic albums. Yes, that's a topic for another day. Tadpole Face says that my mic is quiet compared to yours, and yeah, I do seem to be a little bit quieter than you. I think it's that your mic is loud.
Is it? I don't know. I mean, you're quite high up in the stratosphere at the moment.
You're going into the red when you speak, and I'm barely kissing the edges of the yellow. So it's obviously this is what I said to you the other day. You've got the better mic. When we were doing that little recording with three of us, you're coming across loud and strong and proud, like a rainbow warrior.
Like a rainbow. It's just a little the Mac mic is all it is, which is quite hard to say.
Mac mic.
Mac mic.
I think Robbie Williams sang a song about that.
I think you probably did.
Mac the mic. Okay, well, look, since we're on the topic of Kickstarter, yes, Andrew, stay.
Yes, Andrew.
What would you like to say? What would you like to say about that topic, Andrew? I know it's unique for you. Let's just take a look at those Lurker city maps, shall we? Because they are very pretty, and let's just bring that home to the people that these are starting points. They're ideas. It's not like you've written a Bible that says you must do these maps to play this game. But
even if you do, if you get the starting points right on a map, and you put the objective points down, kind of where the bits in between are flexible if you want. But we've given them those as at least as a bit of a guide. So I love an isometric map. This is about the only thing that I can draw out properly in there. But I gave Dave. This is Dave Needham. Check out his website, which is Realm of Zoo. And I've worked with him all the way through fantasy, and I originally worked with him on the other World Skirmish rules when we did those, and he is just an absolute star. So I said, I quite like an isometric map. It always gives you a little bit of an issue with how you can place kind of smaller things, like objective bits and pieces, because some things are hidden, but they work really, really well. And I just love his art style. So he's done the 5 maps for that, and there's going to be a few internal drawings that he's done. But if you like his stuff, it's absolutely all over fantasy. All of the gadget or the artifact cards, the MacGuffin cards, and the spell cards, everything have all got original artwork from him on.
Apparently, my mic volume is annoying the boys and girls. Strange. Okay, I don't know why it's doing that. It's definitely dropping out for me quite significantly, which is really weird because there's nothing different that I'm doing. So I'm going to try something else. So whilst I'm trying something else, I'm going to kill the maps there a wee minute, and I'm just going to fire up the little terrain element pictures.
Okay. I can talk through the maps if you've got in there if you want. I'm slightly behind.
Oh, are you still lying behind? Oh, right. Well, I'll tell you what. Hang on.
No. Well, it's only I'm looking at the feed, so I can see some of the maps now.
Right. You're only catching them now. Right. Well, okay. Look, I'll tell you what. I'll bring the maps back up there for you, and I will have a little tinker and see if I can resolve the sound issue here. So there we go. Okay. That should feed through to the boys and girls for you now in a minute.
So on the maps in there, we've got Fisk's Factory, which is the first chapter in there. So that uses the big Sarissa. I think it's called Factory B because there's 2 different ones where there's like a good gantry system with dog legs out of it in there. So that's got, there we go. So that's the central point for that, and there's a few industrial buildings of theirs in there, and some of the little train track in the back. So I used all of their stuff to map out the kind of scenarios, and then we've got Marshport, which has got the tabernacle in it. Some of the buildings in the downtown Marshport stuff in there as well. What else has that got in it? It's got a couple of trucks and stuff. The fourth and fifth scenario, so the kind of the assault on the lighthouse. It's the lighthouse and the builder's shed that you need for that, which are in the kind of the main terrain pledge. And chapter 5, which is the kind of the assault on Dagon's Teeth, this kind of reef in the middle of the Marshport Bay, is mainly resin. So we put a couple of little add-ons this week, which were for resin sets, which were some of the little monoliths, which are kind of some of the main bits. We managed to get a quick cast off of the big Dagon monolith, which I just got my first castings of. Give me a second, and I'll go and get that.
I'll give you several seconds if you like, because I'm doing battle with computery things, and everyone knows how wonderful I relate with computery things at the best of times.
There we go. So these came in from MDP yesterday, and this is the giant kind of monolith that we're channeling everything for. So there is a little base there, which I think is your close up of that. I've got a funny feeling that it's 75. Yes, it is. So each one of those squares is about 25 mil. So that's the base for it there. And then you've got, please don't drop it, please don't drop it. There you go, that's wobbling on top at the moment. So that's a bit of a beast.
Yeah, they're not going to see that just yet. I've got a horrible feeling, but I'll see if I can sort that for you now in about 2 more ticks.
Okay. And on the base of the thing, we have got, I'm going to call these sensors for want of a better word, which are kind of little bowls which you can fill with fire or water or whatever you want. I'll see if I can get that.
What size of play area are the maps?
They range from 2x2 to 4x4 for the last chapter in there. So there we go. That's the whole thing assembled. I hope you can see that.
They should start to see it. Yep.
And I think that's about 110 mil high. Is it? I think. Nice. I'll give it a measure now while we're waiting.
It's a big one.
It's a bit of a. That's about 130 mil high, give or take. I think, with a very bad measure. So that's a good little centerpiece for that last one. And we've added other bits and pieces in there.
I'm being totally professional and not mentioning anything about measuring it on camera.
It's one of your own personal videos, Andrew.
Yes, we'll save that one for the outtakes.
Yeah. So the playing sizes differ depending on what the scenario is. I think that chapter 3, which is the big battle in the middle of Marshport, where the tabernacle is, I think that's a 4 foot by 4 foot one, and the last scenario definitely is. But the other ones kind of vary in size depending on what's going on. So, how's your sound, Andrew? Any better?
Well, I will say Martin Dory was saying there was definitely an issue with it, and Tadpole I cannot do that. Tadpole face. I have to say it as 3 separate words for my mouth to be able to cope. Though on screen here, it is now matching what I'm seeing is it's matching what your mic is doing on the screen when you talk.
Okay.
So hopefully that has sorted it. I'm just nipping in very professionally to my settings to see if there's something weird has been upset there, but it's better for me. Happy days. I like it when it's better for you. No, I didn't. I sound sarcastic and facetious anyway, even when I'm not.
It's just a natural tone.
It's a natural talent. Yeah. Play feedback when volume has changed. There we go. I think that's the best I can get it to at the minute.
Big step. Excellent.
Hang on. Input volume. Ooh.
Oh, is it your input volume?
Oh wow! Everybody's in the red now. Even the people that are typing are in the red. Yeah, sorry folks, I found a whole new arrow that I've never interfered with, and I can talk like the gods, but I won't.
We now got more sound than we can possibly take.
You're completely red now, and I'm yellow. There we go. Just deal with it. Cool. Turn it off. Put us on mute.
Morning, everybody. Got Phil and Bruce has joined us as well. Hello, morning.
Hello, everybody. How are we all doing? I suppose it's interesting. Out of thank you, Martin, and cheers, boys, for flagging up there is an issue, because sometimes you're looking at green lights on this thing, and if it's green, you think that's all right, and sometimes green isn't good enough. Just
Martin
out of
says
the folks
that's
watching
an
this morning, who hands up, who's a backer, or shout out what you've backed into, or even if you feel inclined, what it is that has made you bite into Lurkers of the Deep. What has tickled your fancy? Yeah. Because I think it's just. Sorry.
I was going to say, I always like the resin terrain pieces and the big monsters and stuff like that. So I always try to get some of those. And the Shoggoth, I was very glad that we unlocked those this week.
Yeah.
They're big as well. They're like, that's on 50 mil base, I think, both of those. And I like a good old monster. I always find a good palate cleanser.
Yeah, well, you see, this is your attitude of it. Something for everybody. I love the big buildings. I'd like kits. There's Graham's obviously in for it. I like the kits, and I like doing buildings and all that stuff. And I love the character miniatures, the heroes and the villains. That's a big switch for me. But it's just, since we've got so many people watching, but just interested to know who all's in, what they've gone in for, and what it is that sort of pushed the boat out for them. Speaking of the boat,
Mr. Riggs is in.
Speaking of the boat, and this might be relevant to people, it might not be, but several of the terrain elements, particularly the wrecked boat and something else, actually are designed to fit in with the Sarissa terrain system. So their little baseboards that they're on are them kind of weird hexagons that you can then clunk it all together and make cool big.
Yeah, they've got a good little jigsaw. I think they call it their terrain tiles, I think is the system that they use. Forgive me if I've got that wrong. But yeah, they all kind of like tessellate together quite nicely, don't they? And you can build out big things. Oh, good word, tessellation.
Tessellate.
Oh yeah. So yeah, you're right. It is. It's the wrecked boat. And I think it might be the one in the boat builder's shed, both on those bases. So they can fit in with other bits. Just talking to them about another project where we might be able to use that kind of stuff as well. Yesterday, so
really?
So Bruce is just going for cards and stuff at the moment.
Yeah, and that makes sense too, because I mean this is another part of the beauty of 7TV. You can have shelves full of stuff in your house, and as long as then you've got the paper components, you can re-employ whatever, because 7TV doesn't say to you, no, you must use my miniatures or I will burn your soul.
Yeah, no, we've all, there's plenty there to choose from, but we've always said, just play the game, please. It's miniature agnostic, so who hasn't got, I've still got the Citadel Cthulhu Investigators, back in the day, the Gothic horror and all that kind of stuff. I'd still love those.
Oh yeah. There's Tabletop is backing for both figure packs. May grab the buildings too, right? So you're going all in for the figures. Gotta say, that's for me. That's where my line in the sand has fallen down on my old habit, because I'm kind of looking at it now and going, well, yes, I'm all in, but actually, I kind of prefer those figures to those ones. It's not that those aren't nice, but I'm more likely to want to play as those ones. So I'd rather have all of them and maybe forgo those ones for now. So it's graphic equalizer time.
I'll just say something about the pledge manager, actually, just so that people know that they've got options in there. The way that we run the pledge manager is it sits on the Crooked Dice web store. What I'll do is, once the campaign ends in the next couple of weeks, probably, I will send you out a discount code that you'll be able to use when you use the pledge manager in there. So once you've put everything into your cart that you want, plug in the code and it will discount off what you pledged in Kickstarter, and the stuff that will remain were any extra bits that you've decided to put in and your shipping in there. So that's how it works. But it does mean that it's the weird thing about Kickstarter. It's not a shop. It's only really worried about the value that you put in. So we try to be flexible so that when you go to do the pledge manager, you can really pick anything you like. You know, you could pick that original pledge that you went for, but equally you could still have just 50 quid's worth of stuff if that's how you want to.
I've woken up the day after the Kickstarter. I've changed my mind.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate Lurkers from the Deep and never want anything to do with it. But I've gone hell for leather into this spy-fi thing. I'm just going to order myself a secret base and £100 worth of miniatures from Crooked Dice anyway.
Yeah. It allow you to do, because all you're really getting is a credit voucher code for it. How you spend that once you get into the pledge manager and into the store is entirely down to you. So, you know, if you wanted to, you say, okay, well, I'm definitely going to have that pledge, but I want also to buy some island priests or something. You could add another 15 quid to your pledge in Kickstarter, and you'll just get that as credit, and it will knock it off, and you can add that pack once you get to the pledge manager. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense. It makes complete sense to everybody. Phil is in for fish folks, rangers, esoteric agents. I love esoteric. Sailors, sailors and pailers. Oh, somebody's getting with the poetry this morning. And Father Ted's crew from the web store. Father Ted's crew.
Okay, so Phil's obviously done this before, knows that he can kind of add that in if he wants to.
There you go. He's being fly. Sorry, may increase for some miniatures. No, sorry, we got that. Yeah, but going for the cards kind of makes sense as well. I suppose it's the nice thing too. Even if at this stage you're looking at, you're going, I can't decide. I mean, say for sake of argument, Jimmy, who just can't make his mind up about anything. Jimmy could literally just pledge.
The worst.
Jimmy is the worst, but he's also the best because he's got a kind heart and he looks after his mom. But I mean, Jimmy could pledge 100 quid, literally not having a clue what he wants. He could just put 100 quid in at almost any pledge level. And when the pledge manager comes in, he can make the arduous decision of deciding what he or she wants. And if they decide that there's £200 worth of stuff they want, they can add another 100 quid to it, can't they?
Yes, because it'll just discount off whatever you've put into the Kickstarter kind of rewards in there. That's your store credit essentially. Think of it in that way, because Kickstarter doesn't really give you that ability to pick and mix and say I want exactly that, and that. Yeah. It's just a pledge value level. So, but yeah, you can do exactly that if you wanted to.
Actually, the pledge levels are really a window dressing to help people make sense normally of the project more than.
Yeah, when you pick it apart, it's kind of exactly what it is. Really, it's kind of okay. Well, that's all I can afford, or that's what I want. Yeah. It's just a, bands of value, I guess.
People get the silly idea that they're getting something for their money. Ha ha, the fools. They are really. But even in the real world, away from Crooked Dice, the reality of Kickstarter is you're not buying anything. You're just giving people your money, and they might just not be there tomorrow. Tough. And very seldom is there a comeback. That's why it's good to back people who care, like Karl. Care like Karl.
After 8 campaigns, I think people will probably rely on getting their stuff. I think we're pretty solid on that kind of thing. We've delivered them all within time and stuff in the past, with the exception of the last one, which happened at the beginning of lockdown. So we had a few kind of production problems at that point, but
stuff happens. Anyway, let's look at more nice stuff. Because just before the whole sound debacle, why my green light's doing the same thing again?
Is it?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's dancing with joy the way it was a moment ago. I don't know. Maybe there's a driver issue or something, or a codex that's not right. Says he, looking at what Google's telling him. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at some terrain elements.
These is this the harbour stuff that you're gonna do, or just the general terrain?
This is the Harbour stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, this the Harbour stuff.
because we were doing so well. I managed to squeeze in with Andrew, mate, a couple of extra bits that I kind of had as ideas in there, but managed to kind of get them through in the last week or so. So we've got some, I think it's 5-piece little harbour set, which is crates and barrels and nets and some lovely little kind of, what are they called, lobster cages,
Lobster nets,
whatever they're called.
yeah.
In there, there's a little overturned boat, so there's 3 or 4, 5 in total, different sizes in there. This one has got some bottles on a crate and things that you could use for the first scenario as well. But I just thought it'd be quite nice to be able to address some of your kind of your town with a few bits and pieces of these to give it that scary, fishy look.
I've got to say, I have a real. As soon as I seen the lobster pot, I was quite sort of chuffed because these are again the little details, and I know a lot of companies are starting to catch on to little details. I mean, the Fallout guys, Chris Birch with Medufius, they've kind of caught on that those little details from the landscape are as important as making sure that your Brit looks like a Brit. But I mean,
I think so. Yeah, I've always kind of felt like that about terrain. It's the little scatter bits in there, and that's what they are. I mean, you can use them just to crouch your figures behind and whatever if you want. But again, that against your Sarissa building, your little shipbuilders, boat builders shed, put one of those up to the side of it, and it just breaks up, the
breaks up the line.
flat edge of if you want to. So, but I love stuff like this. I could do bits and pieces like that.
But I mean, seeing stuff like this more and more entering the Crooked Dice catalog, I mean, is it a point where you are soon going to be at that stage where a lot of them are doing, where you're literally selling the STL, where you're sort of saying to somebody, well, I don't need to make this. I can make a few of them for the people that want to buy them, but there's a lot of you are printing these things off now. So there's an STL file. It's $5. And you're buying it under license. Please don't let me find out you're selling it, or I'll take you to court.
Well, we've always gone with kind of traditional production in there. So all of those there are hand sculpted by Andrew in there, and we cast in resin. All of the stuff that Ernst has been doing for me for the last 4 or 5 years are all digital sculpts in there, and I've probably got a couple from other people in there. I think I've had this conversation with him before. It's just getting round to actually getting those sort of making sure that they'll print okay, because we're just doing them for the high end stuff that we need. So making sure that if I was selling them to people, they'd be all right and having the supports and all that nonsense or whatever they might need in there, and then getting all uploaded into the store if we wanted to do it like that. It's not something that I have given a huge amount of time and thought to, but it's something we could do because there's hundreds of digital STL kind of Kickstarters and stuff out there now, particularly since lockdown has kicked in, where you don't need to go out anymore. You can just run off at home. So there you go. Exactly.
Yep.
Nice. I've just realised what that is today. And I don't know if people saw this week the bombshell Kickstarter that Patrick Keith, who I've worked with on a couple of things, was running for his little rocket scout ship, and he also had a war rocket.
Yes.
In there, which was absolutely beautiful. And again, that's STL oil, print it and send it to you. And just we have been talking about doing some crew for that as well together.
Ooh, I wonder why. I think if we were to peruse your lines, we might find something that fits the bill. There's one for you. Oh no, it's probably not going to come up on screen.
What am I looking at there?
We're looking at It's Not Deckard.
Okay. All right. So yeah, still traditional resin for stuff, but maybe that kind of down the line. There's a lot of competition with that in the first place, but our stuff has always been more kind of traditional production. So I'm slightly behind the curve. I appreciate that.
No, I know you're right. It is something we've talked about before. The difference, darling, is there's people listening to us today, so it was probably worth point talking about it again. But yeah, it is a topical sort of thing, because of actually, as you say, there's guys now literally doing Kickstarters just for STL files.
Yeah, and there's loads of Patreon bits, like Loot Crate kind of things, where you say you subscribe to that, and then you're getting loads of stuff every month. If I did it, I just want to make sure that it was, it's another thing you need to be able to support.
Yeah,
I know Patrick Bombshell kind of said, well, I'm really busy. I'm just trying to keep feeding the Patreon bits and the new things that I need to release next month. So it's definitely one way of doing things. But I want to make sure that I had enough material there to be able to people giving me their money, really, and to be fair to people.
By the same token, whenever and I, that I don't mean this in any manner disparagingly, but whenever one guy sitting in his office above his garage essentially is able to run a Kickstarter this smoothly, hit that kind of target, delivering this diverse a range of stuff, I mean, really, you say you're doing it traditionally, it still works. We are intrinsically lazy people. We like to just press a button and have a thing sent to us. Yeah. Printing's all fun, but for the one guy that works, let's not look at the bin.
Are there many casualties?
There's a few chaps that miss the odd leg here and there. But that's it. It's Tinkertown stuff.
I think the only thing that holds me back, and I still see it on some things, is just that that little banding that you get on things that bugs me. You see it on kind of bigger building pieces, and I know you can adjust the quality, and that will take a little bit longer in there. But
on that topic, funny, that's something that I have been looking into, and really, it's on the sort of the filament printers. It is down to it's the cosplay triangle: time, money, and quality.
Yeah.
You can have any two.
Yeah.
What you tend to find with a lot of the bulk production 3D printed terrain is you're getting quantity quickly.
Yes.
Hence, you don't get quality. Because I've actually watched, there's a little program you can teach your film printer that whenever it's finished doing all its lines, at the top you've still got all the visible kind of how it's built, but you can actually teach that little needle to just heat up and just run itself around there slowly a few dozen times, and it just smooths it off like a bottle.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah, obviously the bigger the model.
The figure sculpts that I've seen from or prints, should I say, from like Skullforge and Darkfire, some of those lines have been amazing.
Oh yeah.
So I guess I'm not that wired into the technology enough to be able to know what you can and can't do. So I'm speaking from ignorance, really.
But listen, it's the only through tinkering now with two of them that I've started to get my head around any of it. I still consider black magic. There is something utterly eerie that I will not come to terms with a vat of liquid and a plate plunging into it, and then be it 10 minutes later or an hour later or 3 hours later, it pulls itself out and there's a thing there, and that's straight out of Aliens for me.
I've always said it'll be, we'll give it another 5 years, and we'll have that breakthrough product, which will be the, almost the kind of click and print kind of thing, and it'll manage for quality, just like home printing was,
Yeah, exactly. Phil Campbell, there's two questions have kind of come up here. Phil Campbell, how are the free stretch goals added to your cart when picking your items from the store? Good question.
Yeah, no, they are automatically added in. You don't need to worry about it at all. We will include everyone that has pledged over £18 in there. Will get the freebies, and they will automatically put in. You don't need to pick them.
So it's basically your discount code with Crooked Dice kind of says, Phil has spent £175. Here's his freebies. Now go spend your £175, Phil.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about those. They don't count against anything in there, as long as when you put your order in through the pledge manager, it's over 18 quid. You're going to get them included in.
There we go. Lovely. Peter Bryan, there just isn't a plug-and-play printer yet. The average lazy Joe can use. Until that happens, there isn't a threat to traditional methods. You're right, but I think we are already at the halfway house because we have machines like the Formlabs that frankly can produce shop quality miniatures as long as you know what you're doing with it. And now the same as the 70 Productions team, you've got the people who are putting up because this photon thing that we're playing with now. I literally posted a question, the horrible mistake of posting it in Reddit, and you get the barrage of hate. And then Jimmy goes, but look at the spreadsheet, and boom, they've already analysed every available resin, the different settings, how long to expose it for.
Right, done the testing for you already.
It's all there, and you just basically go, what resin am I using? What am I printing? I'll put those settings into my printer, and as long as I've leveled it or it's self-leveled or whatever, hey presto, boom, no more failures.
The great thing about this technology is that it also comes almost hard baked in with the people that are interested in it, make that community and share it in there. So they do a lot of that R&D kind of live on it, and it keeps improving all the time. I'm slightly intimidated on a kind of a technical level. Oh my god, I've got to build this and kind of put it together, and that's probably the thing that puts me off. I suspect once it turns up, it wouldn't be that bad, because I actually, once I'm there, I quite like having a fiddle around with it. But is that's that initial barrier for me. That's it seems a bit. Am I technical enough to be able to manage this? Kind of is the question I ask myself.
I think you are. I mean, I remember being terrified when I was donated the Formlabs 3, and the first thing I done was Google it and went, "This costs how much?"
Is that like the tank one almost? Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, oh my lord, and it was like, I can now understand why tech priests in 40k lower revere
you should get the eye thing.
like they revere a battery or a torch as some sort, because that's exactly how it felt. Having dealt with it, this little knockabout photon thing, I'm much more like, dang it, you will do what I'm telling you. We go. But yeah, I think that from what I've been looking at these filament sort of ones, the ones you're talking about have to assemble. Yeah, whenever this all started, it was like, here's a box of metal and wires, have fun. And it was like, what? But they've cottoned on now that you and I, who aren't completely ham-fisted, we still have posable thumbs, still need a bit of hand-holding, and it kind of comes 3/4 assembled. It's IKEA. You put in 4 screws and you plug it into the wall. And now watch this video on YouTube. And it kind of does its thing. I like the idea. For me, it's particularly relating to props. It's about being able to do the Stormtrooper's blaster or being able to do Judge Dredd's shoulder pad.
Oh, yeah. It's good cosplay. Yeah, like I say, I like it for that. You get the big building kind of thing. That's what I like. That's absolutely unfeasible to produce any other way. You know, if you do that in resin, I mean, even that's heavy, really. You know, so that's really at the top end of what you could afford, what people are willing to pay for the size it is, which I quite understand.
Yeah.
But you get the big buildings, or you get a big rock thing. Couldn't do it any other way, and it's amazing for that. Have you seen? There was a guy that did something, Dracula's Castle, a couple of weeks ago, and it's got to be like a meter long or something, and it was amazing. But I thought, well, you'd never be able to do that.
No.
And again, the good shape you can get, good dynamic, big dragony things and that kind of stuff, which you never be able to do any other way.
You can
so
go crazy.
Brilliant for that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, it'd be lovely. Morning, Simon. How are you, good sir?
Hello.
But no, it is an interesting tech from that point of view. I mean, our Justin has done all the files from, it's not Blacksite Studio, it's somebody else who has done the Aliens kind of base. It's not Blacksite Studio. The name has gone from me.
They have got some stuff like that.
Yeah, it annoys me when I plan to name drop somebody for the benefit of themselves, and then I can't remember who the heck it is I'm supposed to be name dropping.
I thought I'd seen some stuff which looked like the Nostromo walls.
Yes, that's exactly the stuff I'm talking about.
I thought it was Blacksite, but I could be wrong.
Do you know what?
Maybe it was in one of the other photos.
No, I think I'm doubting myself. Probably with being up so early this morning. I think you are quite right. I think it is at Blacksite Studios because they've done like the Space Truckers figures that you can download. They've done the I'm not
Yeah,
I'm not Blade Runner. So yeah, and he has printed all that out in on filament in little sort of cubes that he's then glued together to make 2x2 tiles. We've
yeah,
seen a
yeah.
few photographs of it, and it does look stupendous. But yeah, you as a business could not make those in the quantity to actually physically sell them to your customer.
No, I mean even, and it's a lovely, brilliant kit as well. But the kind of the physical print of the War Rocket was, I think, about 180 quid. I think is what Patrick was saying for that, and it's a good long kind of piece in there. But I mean, again, I don't know how long it takes. If you does it calculate it out for you, kind of filament of cost time and that kind of stuff
Oh
as
yeah,
well? So you go, oh, piece cost me like 35 quid or whatever. Does it allow
you
you to?
you can literally go to your printer and you can say to your printer, okay, Mr. Printer, this resin costs 20.99 a liter. And I want to print this figure. It calculates the volume of the figure and can literally tell you how long it will take to print and the volume of material used. And if you've got a fancy enough slicer, it'll tell you, and that's going to cost you $1.50.
Yeah,
Again, the
yeah,
spreadsheet people have done all that for you, where you can literally go, this size of thing, this type of resin, this volume, you're going to spend this. It's cheaper to buy it.
yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
good, isn't it?
Because somebody done a calculation about Space Marines and worked out that they could print their Space Marines for 47p each. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know, Martin. I have no idea. I think it seems to have fixed now. There's a weird little sliding arrow way buried deep in my settings that I don't touch. This is the first time I've ever been in this part of my settings, and the last time I went in and moved it, and then Martin said your volume's gone back to a whisper, and I went and looked again, and there I was back down. So there must be something weird in the most recent update. It's just done where it's gonna. I don't know. It's stupid.
Weird.
So thanks again. Sorry about that, boys. So we still need to look at new releases because it's nearly time to say goodbye.
It is. Yeah, I've sort of been holding stuff back a little bit because I didn't want to keep bombarding people with all the Kickstarter stuff going on. But we've got a load of releases which are actually linked to some of the fancy stuff. That's kind of what I'm calling dungeon vermin in there, which we've got coming up. We've also got some skeletons, another 2 pack of skeletons in there, which might even go into the mix as well.
I love your skeletons.
I love them. I've just Andrew, not Andrew, stupid man, James Sherriff. You're Andrew. Yeah,
Hello.
James Sherriff has done the command pack. That's off being mastered at the moment, but he's done a set of maces and a set of axes. We've still got the archers to come as well.
Sorry.
You've done. The dungeon vermin are some corpse scavengers. So you're not allowed to say carrion crawler in there, which were the other world ones in there, and then some new tunnel spiders, which Pedro Navarro did. Some giant leeches, which he did as well for us, which are big chunky things. There are things that I'm calling rock grubs in there, which are like burrowing creatures, which Jens did when I bought Parjon. I've had those for about 3 years, and Peter keeps saying, "When are you going to release them?" So we've got those as well. So I think that's 4. Have I said 4 there?
Yeah, that's 4. That's the only number of pictures that I uploaded.
That'll be right then. And the tunnel spiders have got a wee little nest of spiders. Anna hates those. She doesn't like spiders at the best of times, so she's not looking forward to putting those
into blister packs. Well, at least when they're not painted. But when they're not painted, they won't look real.
She doesn't really like doing the giant spider either, to be fair.
I'm fine with bugs. You see, game related bugs. I'm not a big bug fan at all. Like if I play Starship Troopers, I'm the Starship Troopers. And I've got to say, even looking at a couple of those like your giant spiders, I'm like, I'd be fine, but somebody else is painting them for me, and I'm not sure once they're painted whether I'd actually like handling them to move them about the table.
I got very similar comments when we did the big giant resin spider that we've got. You know, that's a beast. That is.
Yeah.
People going, no, I'm not going near that. I think if you I'm giving away secrets now. But if you approached me with a stick insect or a praying mantis, I would probably strike at you and run away in the other direction. There's something about them that give me the real heebie-jeebies. I don't really know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. It's, I mean, the rock group, the things that are made up, I'm fine with. You know, corpse scavengers or whatever you're not allowed to call them. It's like, yeah, give me that, because they're not real. Though I was absolutely equally intrigued and terrified to discover that there's volcanic slugs.
Oh, there.
Apparently so. Now, of course, it was Facebook, so it could be a lie. But until I've verified the facts, I'm prepared to accept that there could well be a type of snail that actually does incorporate iron elements from the ground into its shell casing and has a coarse blackened outside because it protects itself from the heat of...
Right. See, in my mind already, they're feeding on lava, and in any dungeon would explode at you, throwing lava everywhere.
In my world, they are hardening themselves. In my world, they're hardening themselves against like the end times, and they will crawl over you and literally dissolve your body by just superheating it until you turn into liquid soup.
That's very good. Yes, we'll feed that in.
Yeah, it's not good. I'll send you a picture of them later because you will love to make miniatures out of them.
But I love the slugs. Slugs are good. What was that? Lava slug.
Oh, actual corpse markers. I've just thought it's perfect for like lurkers and stuff. People that are like half kind of like turned to ooze and stuff, you know, just like their jacket and hat and only maybe their head.
I had a 1977 Spider-Man annual, which had Peter Parker going. It was Peter Parker and the Punisher, and they were going to some, I can't remember, South American or African nation. Anyway, it's got the villain Moses Magnum. Moses Magnum comes to a very sticky end in some kind of ooze or thing, and for many years it terrified me. He's kind of like that, being all melted.
Yeah.
Moses Magnum is dead, that much for sure, something like that. And it's a great panel, but it terrified me for years. You know, when you kind of like reading through the comic, you don't quite look at that one.
Yeah, it's like the dude's acid face in RoboCop when I was
that
first.
Is exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, I'm on the action figure of him, mommy. Oh,
yes,
what accessories does he come with? His face.
And then I believe the car goes into him and he goes.
Yeah, that was like. I can't rewind it. We're in the cinema. Yes, I believe the rot grubs. The first image of the rot grubs is actually a rot grub butt going back down into the ground.
It is that. Yeah. So you've got three of them there, and one of them is a little tail disappearing back into the earth.
Yeah. So you could either have one rot grub that's got a tail and two heads coming out, or you've got three rot grubs, but one of them's a bit shy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to get that.
See, I'm not a rot grub. Go on, I don't want to be a rot grub.
Go on.
He was a teenage.
No, I
don't want to kill the adventures. I hate you. Oh Lord! Well, look at that. We managed to stay focused, relevant, on target. I mean, last week an hour and 29 minutes of movies, 1 minute
really?
Kickstarter. This week a solid hour of 7 TV product.
There you go.
And who knows next week what we might actually do, because by then this will all be done and dusted, and so it'll be relaxed. We might get Karl to actually talk about the mechanic elements and rules elements and how it all works for Lurkers, because there's new things there, and then it'll start to prepare your brains for it coming.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about that, have we? What Fitzpatrick is and what he's doing. Yeah.
No, we've kind of gone, hey, buy all this stuff. What's it for? Just shut up and buy it. Damn, girl. You asking questions and they all wrong.
I would like to get that on an advert for it. You doing that? Just shut up and buy it.
I am quite prepared to do that as an advert for the next campaign. Karl came to Weegamers and asked for a reason, or maybe a couple of reasons why you should back his new Kickstarter. Just shut up and buy it.
Look at that on t-shirt. Oh, good grief.
When I worked for a certain evil empire, it was not uncommon when, parents would come in and go, oh, I don't know if I'd like, Basilisk or Lehman Russ, Basilisk, Lehman Russ. Which one would you recommend? Either or both. Just buy it. It'll make you happy.
Oh, bless.
And then what
Before we
Dad was
go,
like, it's not going to make me happy. It's not for me. It's for your son. Yes. Your son will go away and build it and paint it. Yes. And he'll leave you alone when he's doing that. Yes. It'll make you happy.
everyone's happy.
£42 of peace and quiet.
Can I, before we go, can I just say thank you to absolutely everybody that has supported, pledged, shared things around, generally bothered their friends by saying, look at this shiny thing, because it's really appreciated, and it's your patience, quite frankly, is staggering with all the stuff that I've been bothering everyone about for the last month with this. So thank you very, very much to everybody.
Yes, you can.
Thank you. Oh, well, what I want to say is, and just say it again, just loop that bit.
Yeah. Everyone now rewind and watch that bit again. Now he's had permission to do it. That being said, folks, 56 hours left to go. 57 hours. I do apologise. 57 hours still to go. 35159. A couple more pound have gone in. In all honesty, it doesn't matter whether you're pitching a fiver in, or pitching a tenner in, or pitching 20 quid in. If you can afford a fiver, you can afford a fiver. And later on, when Pledge Manager goes live, you can always top that up if it hasn't fitted your payday. But every little bit that you can chuck in helps this guy pay his mortgage and helps you get nice things that you want, even if that is just 1 or 2 miniatures. And if you're sitting thinking, well, I can just get them any old time. Well, if you get them now, you help your other 7TV fans maybe get that cool building or that miniature that they've been wanting out for. But it's still not too late to share the word. I'm not a rock grub, I'm an ostrich. Phil, you can be whatever you want to be. The choice is yours. The world is your ostrich egg. I mean, your oyster.
Limited by the confines of a rock grub.
Yeah.
So mad.
Be a spider. Be a corpse eater thing, whatever that googly thing was with all the stuff. Just don't be a fish person.
Racist against fish people.
It's speciesist. It's not racist.
Speciesist. I can't even say that.
Speciesist. You have to say it like Sean Connery. I'm speciesist. Speciesist is a particular thing unique to the Scotch. But yeah, it's still not too late. Share it out. Tag your mates. Find your bud that likes reading books and say, look, here's a game about books.
Reading books? What you reading for?
Who showed you them books?
Bloody regal.
One minor film throw in for this week. I watched Cabin in the Woods again the other day.
So I do like that. It's
a glorious film, but I'd forgotten and loved the line right at the very start where the football dude is in the apartment with the 2 girls, and his girlfriend's kind of gone all blonde. She's dyed her hair. Of course, we later find out why she's done it, but she's holding the other girl's books, and he kind of walks in. Hey, how's it going? We all ready to go? Throws the football out the window. Who gave you those? Who told you about these things? She went, I learned them from copying you. I just love that bit.
Chris Hemsworth in that.
Yeah, probably.
Is he the jock character?
Yes, that I think you're right. You like to give people names.
Well, I'd forgotten he was in it. Oh, hello.
Cabin in the Woods. Well, you're about to get like maybe 60 seconds of bonus time here. International Movie Database. See, this is the one thing I hate about the modern world, because I've now started looking into resins. Every advert on my screen is for liquid resin. Director Drew Goddard. There's a good name. Writers Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Drew Goddard. Christy Connolly. Chris Hemsworth. Yep. Hemsworth.
Hope so. Right, my dears.
Right, boys and girls, it has been a pleasure. Thank you all once again for joining us. We will say goodbye. Goodbye. And we will run the credits if I can find which window I've put them in.
Thank you, everybody.
Be nice to everyone. Look after yourselves and be good. See you soon. Bye-bye.
See you later.